My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Every single week, we break down full fight cards. We give you our picks, our bets, and our fantasy plays. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our content. Next up, at UFC Vegas 47, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Punahele Soriano versus Nick Maximov. Punahele Soriano, 8-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, and he's coming off the first loss of his career to Brendan Allen. Nick Maximov, 7-0. He's 5-0 in his last 5, coming off a decision win just a few months ago. Punahele is a striker who has tons of power and can put most people out on their feet. He can also wrestle. He has 4 takedowns in the UFC, which includes 3 against Jamie Pickett in his Contender Series win. He is listed as having a 100% takedown defense, but he has literally only defended 1 single takedown in the UFC, and that was from Brendan Allen in his last fight. Punahele can be first round or bust. We've seen him gas, but he's a very, very dangerous striker. Nick Maximov is a very solid BJJ guy who knows what he's good at, and he sticks to it. His striking is pretty raw. His takedowns are just okay, but his grappling is very good. He's a Diaz, they keep saying that he's the one who's going to carry the Nick and Nate Diaz flag forward. He's an interesting guy because most of his fights were against guys with losing records. But then his, couple wins ago in the Contender Series, that was at heavyweight, and that was a solid win. And now he's at middleweight. And this picture, he looks a little soft, but if you go to his Instagram, he's not looking soft. There's a bunch of boxing pictures.
Is he pretty hard?
There's a bunch of boxing training pictures. So he's taking his boxing pretty serious, and he looks to be in legit shape. And this is an interesting matchup because it's striker versus grappler, old school throwback. And we've not really seen Punahele's grappling tested. We saw him get completely outclassed by Brendan Allen on his feet, but not much in the way of grappling. We also haven't seen Nick Maximov spend much time striking. In his fight against Cody Brundage, he had 4 takedowns and only landed 14 strikes in that entire fight. I think the odds are correct here. I get it. Because Punahele, 2-1 favorite, it makes sense. But if it gets to the ground, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up looking like a 2-1 dog. If it gets out of the first round, I wouldn't be surprised if Punahele ended up looking like a 2-1 dog. Punahele has been my pick for the last week or so, but seeing Nick Maximov boxing and training with professional boxers and trying to elevate his boxing game, if he can survive, shoot takedowns, and exhaust Punahele, who we've seen get tired, if he can do that, all of a sudden Nick Maximov wins this fight. I have to side with Punahele still because he's definitely dangerous. He must recognize that Brendan Allen loss was pretty embarrassing and made cardio improvements and things like that. So Punahele's the pick. I think it's a lot closer. I get the odds because of how dangerous he is, but I think it's closer. Nick Maximov training his boxing can mix in some takedowns to exhaust Punahele. All of a sudden, Nick Maximov can look like a pretty big favorite in this fight. What do you think?
Yeah, so when I break down fights, I break down the fights. I pick a winner. I think you do the same thing, and then you look at the odds, right? So when I was looking at these fights, I was looking at Soriano, Nick Maximov. I was like, you know what? Nick is the favorite in this fight. Nick Maximov is the better fighter in this fight. I think he can win this fight almost anywhere. And I was going to go into this whole speech where I was going to say, Nick is definitely the pick for this fight. He's the favorite, but I got to go with my Hawaiian tough dude. I love my Hawaiian. Soriano, I think he's going to win because he's tough. And then I looked at the odds. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? A 2-1 favorite for Soriano. I was like, so my pick is Soriano because he's Hawaiian tough. But in honesty, I think Nick Maximov is a better fighter in this matchup. I think he proved in his last fight. I think, as you mentioned, I think his striking is improving with the Diaz brothers. Listen, you don't have to be a great striker. If you're the Diaz brothers, you just kind of pitter-patter, volume, get the takedowns that they can never get, and then dominate on the ground. I think that's what he does. I think that he I don't know if he dominates this matchup, but I think he wins this pretty clear. I think he gets it to the ground. I think he probably submits him, but Soriano is my play because I'm never going to pick against a Hawaiian in my life. I love my Hawaiians, so Soriano is my pick, but I think Nick is probably the pick for everyone else. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've flipped on this. I didn't flip. I guess I'm still with Punahele, but I did think that Punahele, I had Nick Maximov at like just sort of a old school can grapple but do nothing else. And now I'm starting to come around, and his striking is very raw, but if he's starting to button it up, and I think just Punahele's last loss to Brendan Allen is just not a good look. It's just not aging well at all, because Brendan Allen is not a striker. And then he came out, and Brendan Allen got smoked by Chris Curtis in the striking. So it just wasn't a great look. With that being said, Punahele's still the pick. What do you think of DraftKings and that pricing? I mean, Punahele, $8,600 is a bargain if he gets that stoppage. But all of a sudden, Nick Maximov pulls it off. $7,600 isn't so bad.
Listen, my pick for my brain is Nick Maximov. I'm picking Soriano from the heart, but in DraftKings, I'm probably going to play $7,600 for Nick Maximov. I think he's able to get the takedowns, and once he's on the ground, he is a menace on the ground. So I think he's a better wrestler than people think, and I think he's going to prove it in this fight.
Yeah, it'll be this honestly is a really interesting fight. I'm probably not going to touch it with
Maximov
bets.
by submission plus 375. So that they respect his submission game for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just so torn because I do think this is a pretty close fight. This is one I'm just going to watch live. Maybe I'll throw a live bet on it. We'll see if Punahele connects a few times, Nick looks uncomfortable, then we'll double down. If Nick all of a sudden gets to the legs and Punahele's slowing down, we'll see what happens. Jacob, yeah.
Thank you. I just placed two bets, half unit on each. Maximov round 2, round 3 submission. Round 2 is plus 1,400, and round 3 submission is plus 2,200. I put a half unit on both.
Wow. Okay. Money well spent, I guess. We'll see what happens. You like taking those flyers. I'm a little more measured. You do like taking those chances. If you want 50 free bucks and you want to take some chances, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know. And we'll send you 50 free bucks as a thank you. I have no idea what to do with this monkey knife fight line. None whatsoever. So I'm just going to leave this alone and enjoy the fight.
Well, I said that last fight. You started, thanks for the breakdown. Great insight, because I didn't pick, and now you do the exact same thing. It's very crazy how this show runs.